In this vignette, you'll see a patient who screens positive for depression and meets with the health educator for a brief intervention to explore this further.
Hi, Yesenia.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Mia, and I'm the health educator here at the clinic. And part of my job is to talk with patients about these healthy lifestyle questionnaires that I know you filled out up at the front desk today. Your provider's running a little bit behind today, so we've got about 10 or 15 minutes yet before he's going to be in to see you. And so I wondered if we could use this time to just go over this form and talk about it a little bit.
Sure.
Okay, great. So let's look together here. I noticed you checked no use of tobacco in the past month.
No.
Okay, that's a great choice for your health. Any questions about that area?
No, I don't have a concern.
Okay, and in the area of alcohol, in the past year, you indicated you've never had 4 or more drinks in a single day, is that right?
I think that's right.
Okay, again, a really good choice for your health. You're staying within those recommended low-risk guidelines that we talk to patients about, so you're already right on target for that. And no use of any illegal drugs or any prescription medication other than as prescribed to you.
Correct.
Okay, great. And then I noticed here in the mood section, you marked that you've been having some problems in the past couple weeks with less interest or pleasure in doing things and some feeling down and kind of depressed.
Just I don't have much interest in a lot of things that I guess I used to do on a regular basis.
Okay, tell me a little more about that. Like, can you give me an example?
Yeah, my boyfriend and I are part of a co-ed soccer league.
Okay.
And we used to go, like on a regular basis to the games, but he just tends to go by himself now just because I don't really find it as fun anymore.
Okay, so it's just not feeling like it's something enjoyable for you, so you find
Right.
yourself just staying home more often. And it sounds like he's going without you, so you're not holding him back, but you're also then kind of stuck at home by yourself.
Right.
Yeah. And I imagine, that impacts other things in your life and your relationship with him as well. So how does he respond to that?
He's understandable, he just tells me that it's fine, that I can stay behind, but he sometimes just wants me to go with him, but I decide not to.
Yeah, so it's like he wants you to go. He's somewhat understanding, but you feel this pressure to go, and you just
But I decide to stay back.
Yeah, it almost sounds like part of you wishes you could want to go, but you're just not wanting to right now.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds hard. I wonder if it would be okay if we look at a few more questions that just ask about some other areas of your mood, and then we can talk a little bit overall about kind of what the whole picture of your life looks like.
Okay.
Would that be okay? All right. So there's 9 questions here, and I wonder, and we'll just look at them together and go through them. For each of the 9 questions, they ask you to think about just in the past 2 weeks. So not, your whole life in general, just kind of thinking about those most recent couple weeks, how things have been. And for all of the questions, there's these same responses: not at all, several days, more than half the days, or nearly every day. Okay? So the first question asks, in the past couple weeks, how often have you been bothered by little interest or pleasure in doing things? And that's kind of what we were talking about with the soccer.
So yeah, that would be probably nearly every day.
Nearly every day? Okay.
Yeah.
And the next one is, how often have you been bothered by feeling down, depressed, or hopeless?
Maybe just down, so
Okay.
more than half the days.
Okay, so more than half the days feeling pretty down.
Right.
Okay. And how much have you been bothered by trouble either falling asleep, staying asleep, or sleeping too much?
I think I've been sleeping more than usual.
Okay.
So maybe a little too much.
Okay.
I think I would say nearly every day for that one.
Nearly every day sleeping too much.
Right.
Okay. And how much, what is too much for you?
I've been getting 12 hours of sleep
Okay.
in the last few weeks.
And that's more than typical for you?
Yeah, I tend to have maybe 8 hours of sleep. So
Okay.
I've been sleeping in a lot more.
So sleeping in more in the morning is kind of when you
Right.
notice it? Okay. And that's been nearly every day?
Right.
Yeah. Right. And feeling tired or having little energy?
Yeah, I feel tired. I don't really feel like doing much.
Yeah, just
going
kind
out
of,
to soccer,
yeah.
play soccer. So
Okay, so really just kind of not feeling like doing all those things you normally had wanted to do. And is that several days, more than half the days, nearly every day?
I think more than half a days.
Okay, okay. And any problems with poor appetite or overeating?
Probably just some days, but not that much.
Not, okay, so maybe several days?
Yeah.
Okay. And feeling bad about yourself or that you're a failure or you've let yourself or your family down?
No, not really.
Okay. And any trouble concentrating on things such as reading the newspaper or watching TV? How often in the past couple weeks?
I think more than half the days. I have
Okay.
trouble concentrating when I'm watching TV.
That one's been noticeable for you.
Yeah, for me.
Especially with the TV. Okay. And any problems moving or speaking so slowly that other people could have noticed? Or on the flip side, like being so fidgety and moving around so fast that people have noticed?
No.
Anything with
I
that?
haven't
Okay.
noticed any of that.
Haven't noticed that. Okay. And any thoughts that you'd be better off dead or thoughts of hurting yourself in any way?
No, not at all.
Glad to hear that. Okay. Well, that's all the questions here. If it's okay, I'm just going to add up. This will give us a little bit of a score, and then the score will give us some feedback based on the way you answered these questions, and we can talk about that.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. So based on your score, Yesenia, it looks like you are experiencing some significant symptoms of what we would call depression.
Okay.
So I noticed that seems a little unusual to you. You made a little face when I said that.
Yeah. I never really thought that it would be anything related to depression.
So you really kind of like hadn't thought of it that way before.
No, I hadn't thought about it at all.
You'd been noticing all this stuff going on, but in your mind you haven't been calling it depression.
Right.
Okay. Okay. And that's a surprise to hear that a lot of these things that have been bothering you are symptoms of depression.
Right. I just didn't even think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it hadn't been, that's not why you're here today. You didn't want to come and say, "Hey doc, I think I have depression.
Right.
What am I going to do?" And this is all kind of new to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you make of that? Hearing that a lot of the things that you've been noticing are what we consider to be symptoms of depression. What do you think about that?
Well, I definitely want to see see what I can do about it. I don't
Okay.
really want to continue, feeling down and tired. So
Yeah.
anything that would help me would be great.
Yeah, so you don't like feeling this way,
Right.
and whether it's depression or something else, you're really pretty interested in hearing what you can do to kind of take charge of it and do something so that you're not feeling that way anymore.
Right.
Is that accurate?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty accurate.
Okay. So, there's a couple things I want to tell you. One is that what we find with depression is that it's very treatable. I'm not the person who can tell you formally that this is diagnosed as depression or not. If you're interested, we can talk together with your doctor when he comes in and see what, see if he can go through the formal diagnosis for you. Because I can't give you a diagnosis of depression,
Okay.
but I can tell you the symptoms look like a lot like the symptoms of depression.
Okay.
So that's one thing. We can talk to your doctor if you're interested in that. And your doctor may or may not be interested in talking with you about some medication. That's one thing that people find with depression, for some people, is very useful.
Okay.
There are also a lot of things that people can do just on their own to kind of try and take charge and turn some of these symptoms around. So we'll look at them specifically and think about, okay, well, for the mood, for the low energy, what could we do to help your energy level? Just kind of thinking that way. We call that self-care for depression.
Okay.
Would you be interested in hearing about some of the areas that maybe you could be focusing on, either instead of or in addition to medication?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, so I just want to go over with you. There's kind of a list here, and we can maybe think a little bit about one of the things that I do is meet with patients who are having a lot of the same symptoms you do, And we set up a time to meet kind of on a regular basis, either here in the clinic or over the phone. And we look at kind of helping them set up a little bit of a plan
Okay.
to address some of these things. And then we just follow up and see how things are going, make sure things are turning around like the way you want them to.
Okay.
What would you think about setting that up?
That sounds perfect.
Okay, so here's the areas that we tend to look at. We look at nutrition, we look at sleep, physical activity or exercise, thinking about social support, having fun, relaxation, and then, like I said, maybe sometimes medication.
Okay.
Are there any of these that you think right away, I want to pay a little attention to that, something that feels doable to you to talk a little more about?
Maybe like having some more fun.
Okay.
Like going out, I don't know, maybe going out with my boyfriend again.
Okay. So having fun with your boyfriend would be something you'd be willing to kind of pay some attention to in the
Yeah.
next couple weeks. Okay. So this worksheet here is what we call a self-care activity plan. And if you're interested, we can go through and fill it out. Basically what it does is just kind of step by step talks about what your plan is for how you're going to go about tackling that goal.
Okay.
Does that seem like something you're interested in?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
All right. So the goal you said was having fun with your boyfriend.
Right.
And typically what you had done for fun, I think, was what you said, the soccer league.
The soccer league, we sometimes play basketball.
Okay. And so the soccer league has been kind of a challenge for you lately. So there's a couple different things you could do to work on increasing the having fun. What kinds of things, when you think about having more fun with my boyfriend, like this week or next week, what do you think feels doable for you?
I don't know, like maybe like start off again once a week at least.
Okay.
I think that would like help push it to like on a regular basis again.
Okay. So going back to the soccer league and making the commitment and sort of saying, like, I'm going to commit to myself that once a week, whether I feel like it or not, I'm going to go
Right.
with him. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to put here once a week, soccer league. And here it asks you to just think about and sort of put down, what are your reasons for why you want to do that?
Well, I usually would enjoy it, so enjoying things that I used to enjoy.
Okay.
Also, it'd be fun with my boyfriend, so that would definitely like help our relationship as well.
Okay. So it'll get you back to at least doing the things you used to enjoy. You're not 100%
Right.
sure you'll enjoy it going once a week, but at least you'll be doing those things.
Right.
And you feel like it's going to really help improve the relationship with your boyfriend because you'll be out there doing things together.
Correct.
Okay. And what do you think it's going to take for you to actually kind of make that happen? Do you have a schedule in advance of the league games? Do you want to talk to your boyfriend? There's sort of lots of different things you could do.
Definitely talking to him first about it,
Okay.
so he can like encourage me to go.
So telling him, hey, this is my goal. I've decided I'm going to go once a week. Will you remind me of that and make sure,
He doesn't let me stay behind.
you feel like he's going to be pretty supportive of that?
Yeah, I think he will.
Yeah, yeah. And thinking about, okay, over the next couple weeks, I'm going to try and go once a week. What kinds of things do you think might get in your way of actually doing that?
Probably if I'm feeling tired.
So feeling tired, and that's been kind of what's getting in your way up to
Right.
this point too. So what do you think you might do when you're feeling tired?
Probably go to bed. Try to watch
Okay.
TV.
Yeah.
Won't do much.
Okay, so your inclination would be to just kind of lay down, lay on the couch, watch TV, go to bed. And given that you want to meet this goal of once a week, are there things you think you could do to help you overcome that barrier of feeling tired?
Maybe just staying busy, like doing things. I don't
Okay.
know, like going out with some friends, or I don't know,
Okay.
just doing things around the house maybe.
So keeping yourself up and active
Up and active.
up until the time to go to the
Mhm.
soccer league, not letting yourself sort of sink down into that laying around cycle that you've been getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. And other than, I think you named your boyfriend as going to be the big support. Anybody else that you want to sort of bring into that circle of support for you?
Maybe some friends, just like they encourage me to go out with them too.
Okay.
But I think in the most part it would be my boyfriend.
So primarily the boyfriend.
Right.
You can think of a few other friends that you might kind of clue into this plan and ask them to help by asking you to go out and that kind of
Right.
stuff. Okay. And how are you going to know that your plan is working?
If I actually go to the soccer league.
When you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you notice that maybe the first week has passed and you didn't make it, you didn't go, what do you think you might do to sort of get back on track?
I would probably talk to him again, to my
Okay.
boyfriend, have him, just encourage me and pressure me to go so that I can actually start going.
So he's going to be really important in this plan, it sounds
Right.
like. He's a big support to you, and you feel like he's really going to help you stay on track.
Yeah, and he's really understanding, so I think he will definitely encourage me to meet my goal.
So thinking about like a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being not at all confident, 10 being I got this, I'm totally confident. Where would you put yourself in how confident you are that you can meet this goal of going out with him to the soccer league once a week? Say for the next 2 weeks. How confident are you?
Maybe like an 8 or a 7. I'm
Okay.
just worried about, feeling tired and at the last minute staying in.
Yeah.
But overall, I think that if I have his support, then I will, I'll end up going.
So kind of in that fairly high confident,
Mhm.
still a little worried about what's going to happen if you're really feeling tired and you're dragging
Yeah.
on that day. But you feel like the support of your boyfriend will be enough to kind of carry you through
Right.
that last minute, oh, I'm tired and I just want to stay home
Mhm.
feeling. Okay. Well, what I'd like to do is a couple things. One, I'd like to let your doctor know that we had this conversation.
Okay.
And I think your doctor's probably going to want to talk to you about medication. And just you can think about if that's something that feels right for you or not. For a lot of patients who are having these symptoms, that is something that they find helpful. I can't make that decision for you. That choice is going to be up to you.
Okay.
And then the other thing I'd like to do is schedule a follow-up appointment with you, maybe in a couple weeks, and then we can check in and just see how has this plan been going. Have you been making it to the soccer league? If not, how can we change this plan so that you are able to have some success?
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Does that sound good? Okay. Well, I wonder, would you want to set up the appointment now?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's Thursday. Do you want to do 2 weeks from today?
Yeah.
Is this generally a time that works for you, or?
Yeah, this
what?
one works perfectly. I'm
Okay.
free the 21st.
Okay. So let's do the same time. So 10 a.m. on the 21st.
Okay.
And I'll let the front desk know. We'll get you an appointment card, and I'll bring the appointment card in after you're done meeting with the provider.
Okay.
Okay? Well, it was great meeting you, and I look forward to checking in with you in a couple weeks.
All right. This is great.
Nice
Thank
meeting
you.
you. Thanks.
Again, the patient is surprised to learn that the things she's been noticing about her mood and change in her behaviors likely stem from depression. The patient agreed to discuss a possible diagnosis with her physician and some options for self-care with the health educator. She scheduled a follow-up for continued monitoring and exploration.
Dr. Brown,
Oh.
sorry to interrupt. Do you have a sec?
Sure. Yeah.
I just wanted to give you a quick update on Yesenia, the patient you're going to see next.
Uh-huh.
So she did score positive on her healthy lifestyle questionnaire for depression. And so I did the PHQ-9 with her. Her score was a 10, so not super high. But she did sound like she's been having a lot of problems with her energy, some oversleeping, but kind of a disturbed sleep pattern, and that's really what mostly has been bothering her.
Okay.
She's also been kind of, not doing a lot of her daily activities that she used to find enjoyable. So a lot of social stuff, physical activity stuff with her boyfriend. We came up with a little bit of a plan. She's gonna talk to her boyfriend, kind of enlist his support and try and get back to some social stuff. And I'm gonna follow up with her in 2 weeks. She's not currently on any medication for depression and has never been treated for it in the past.
Okay.
So I just wanted to let you know before you head in to meet with her.
Great. Much alcohol or drugs? Or?
No, we talked about it. She only has 1 or 2 drinks very occasionally, never has more than 2 standard drinks. So.
Good. All right. Thanks a lot, Mia.
Okay, yep. Hi, Yesenia.
Hi.
Thanks for coming back in. I know it's been about 2 weeks, right, since we first met?
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
Okay. So this follow-up visit is, mainly the purpose of it is just for us to check in and see how things are going. I have some additional information I'm going to ask you about, but first and foremost, I want to hear how things have been going for you. So kind of overall, how have things been?
Things have been okay, not great, but just okay.
Okay, so kind of middle of the road?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know one of the things we had done last time was set a little bit of a plan for you. One of the things you really wanted to focus on was getting out and getting to the soccer games with your boyfriend at least once a week. So how did that go?
Well, the first week, I was really tired, but he ended up, pushing me to go. And I was glad I went, I had fun. But then the second week, I was just too tired, and I decided to stay in, and I didn't go.
So sounds like, some good and some bad, kind of a mixed bag in there. The first week, some of the things you were concerned about, like feeling too tired and just not wanting to go, kind of that was there, and you were able to overcome that with your boyfriend.
Yeah.
So was that based on a conversation you had with him, or did he just come up with that on his own, or what ended up leading up to that?
I actually talked to him, and I told him that I had a feeling it would happen.
Okay.
I told him I have this feeling, that I at the day of the league, I will be too tired to go, so I just want you to, push me to go and encourage me to go,
Yeah, so you really thought ahead and
Right.
figured this might happen. I'm gonna plan for it.
Right.
And it sounds like that was successful. So your plan of having your boyfriend come in really helped.
Yeah, for the first week at least.
Yeah, that first week it really worked for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said you were glad you went to the game. Is that?
Mhm. I had fun. It wasn't as bad as the last time, but then the next week I just decided to not go.
Yeah. So when the first week, the week that you went, you had a really good time.
Right.
Yeah. And it sounds like the second week something kind of got off track. So tell me a little more about what happened on that second week.
I don't know. I guess I was just too tired. I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah. And so again, that feeling of I just don't want to go and I'm tired. I might as well just stay home on the couch, kind of came back in.
Right.
And what happened with your boyfriend?
He tried he tried telling me to go, but I just decided not to go.
Yeah, so he tried the same approach that he tried the first week, and it just didn't feel like it worked the same way the second week.
Right.
Yeah. So half and half. Our plan was overall halfway successful. It got you there, and you were able to see that once you get there, it's not as much drudgery as you kind of think it might be. And it sounds like you really want to be able to get there every week. It's this feeling tired and kind of blah that gets in the way.
Right.
Yeah. And I know last time we talked a little bit about how that's kind of like that cycle of I feel bad, so I don't do the things I want to do, and then I don't do the things that help me feel better, so then I feel even more bad. And it's just this...
Like a cycle.
Yeah, it's just kind of growing and sort of turning on itself. Yeah, and you mentioned the feeling tired. How has that been going? How has your energy level felt overall to you?
I've been feeling more tired, actually.
More tired?
Yeah, I've been sleeping more, and I'll wake up in the middle of the night.
Okay.
And I just can't. I just feel way too tired to just do anything in general.
Yeah, so just overall feeling really just physically exhausted almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And last time when I met with you, it was before you had met with your doctor. So the tiredness was something you were going to meet with your doctor about. What was your doctor's take on why you're feeling so tired?
He also mentioned the whole depression situation,
Okay.
but I decided to, try doing things that would help me, such as the going to the soccer league.
Mm-hmm.
However, I decided not to take the pills, but I guess it's not I'm not at that point where I feel like I'm back to normal.
Yeah. So your doctor's sort of overall impression was that it might be some depression as well, kind of like what we talked about. That was a pretty strong possibility.
Right.
And it sounds like the doctor talked to you a little bit about medication. You weren't really feeling it.
I wasn't.
Yeah, you'd rather see if you can manage it on your own before you think about medication.
Right.
Yeah. And so your doctor kind of confirmed for you that it's not something else medically going on. It really looks like it is this stuff with your mood.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, one of the things that I often do with patients as I'm meeting with them over time is, you may remember last time we went through that series of 9 questions that asked about your symptoms and kind of asked how often you are feeling those.
Okay.
And so what we find is that those questions, if we ask them every time we meet, it'll help us to kind of make a little bit of a record of sort of how your symptoms are doing over time.
Okay.
So would it be all right to go over those questions again?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And we can do a couple different ways. I can read them to you again, or if you'd like, I have them just on this form, and you could just go through and check them off, kind of whichever feels more comfortable to you.
I can just check them off.
Okay.
It's fine.
I have a pencil here. And just to remind you, so now it asks you to think about the past 2 weeks. So again, like since we last met,
Okay.
thinking about since we last met until now. And the responses here are not at all, several days, more than half the days, or nearly every day. And then the questions are along the side.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions about any of these?
No.
Pretty straightforward? Okay. So I'm just going to score this up. Okay, so your total score this week was 14. And again, that number probably doesn't mean anything to you. You may or may not remember, but I just looked back in your chart. Last week you were at a 10. So what that means that the number's a little higher is that some of your symptoms, it seems like, are getting a little bit worse.
Okay.
And I noticed one of the ones that you talked about feeling a little bit worse about, and then also indicated on here, is the sleeping. Sleeping too much and just really feeling tired all the time. Yeah, so it seems like that's a big one for you. That's one that really seems to be playing an important role in what's going on here. So thinking about that score changing a little bit from a 10, going a little higher up to a 14, how does that fit overall with how you've been feeling?
I think it's correct. I mean, I have been feeling a lot more tired, definitely. So, I don't know, I just wish that I wasn't sleeping as more, or at least like not feeling that as tired as I am right now.
Yeah, so that's the big one, and you just wish you could get rid of that.
Right.
Okay. Would it be all right with you if I just ask you a few other additional questions, and this will just help us think together about sort of what kinds of things might be contributing to your depression and what kinds of things might be hopeful for us as we think about how to get you better.
Okay.
Okay. So one question is there any family history of depression? Anyone else in your family have this kind of either depression the way you're experiencing it or other mental health stuff?
No.
No? Okay. And what kind of activities, thinking sort of overall in your life, what areas are affected by your depression?
I don't think there's anything in particular.
Okay. So really the stuff we've talked about. So we've talked about some of your social stuff with the soccer league and not wanting to go out with your friends as much. It sounds like it's taken a little bit of a toll on your relationship with your boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
How about work or school?
School, I mean, school's always stressful, right?
Yeah.
But it's not anything different.
Okay.
So I don't think it's affecting me in any way.
Okay, so you haven't felt like this is getting in the way of you doing your schoolwork or anything like that. Okay. And there is some stress there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
it's the usual.
pretty much the same as it always has been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And if you can think back to the last time that you can remember really feeling good, really feeling well rested and happy and like you're enjoying yourself, when was that?
More than a month ago. Definitely.
Okay. And do you remember a particular thing that was going on when you felt that way, or just kind of felt that way overall?
Just overall.
So it's been about a month since you can remember really feeling good.
Right.
Okay. And thinking about that time frame of about a month ago, anything in particular happen that you think might be playing a role in this?
No, not that I can think of.
Yeah, so nothing specific really sticks out in your mind.
No.
And I think last time when we met, you had mentioned that you felt a little bit this way in the past. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
I mean, I've felt like this before, but it would just go away eventually. But
Okay.
this is the first time that it's lasted so long, and I just don't seem to be feeling any better.
Okay, so you've had periods in the past where you felt kind of down and low energy, maybe some sleeping more.
Right.
Those
Same symptoms.
Yeah, the same kind of symptoms that you're having now. And what's different this time is that it's lasting as long as it is.
Right.
Yeah. Last time it maybe only lasted a couple weeks, or what was
Yeah,
it like last time?
It was a couple weeks, and then eventually I just felt better.
Okay. And do you remember if anything in particular happened that helped you feel better, helped you kind of maybe snap out of it?
Just getting busy, doing some things. But, I just felt better eventually.
Okay. So just kind of daily life kind of swept you back up and you got busy and
Right.
and just weren't feeling, and then you just noticed, oh, hey, I'm not feeling bad anymore.
Right.
Okay. And that just hasn't happened this time, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, like life has kind of tried to sweep you up along, but you've just not felt up to it.
Right.
Yeah.
I just feel way too tired to do anything.
Yeah. So this time it's happened, it's been going on almost twice as long as it's ever gone on before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. It's been a lot longer.
Yeah. And do you think anything's different this time that's kind of helping? We talked about that sort of cycle. Is there anything else that you can think of that's going on that's maybe contributing to that cycle of just feeling down and feeling bad?
No. I can't think of anything.
So you had mentioned that school's pretty stressful. Tell me a little bit about that.
I mean, school has always been stressful.
Mhm.
So I don't feel like it's anything different. I don't
Okay.
think it's playing any type of role into the way I'm feeling.
Okay. So it's kind of like one of those baseline stresses for you.
Right.
Nothing different about it right now. It's just stressful
just
like it
school.
always is. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And anything, if you could think about like one thing that could happen that would make things feel better for you, what would like one thing be? If you could kind of have that magic wand and wave it over one thing in your life.
Something that would help me feel better would
Yeah.
be just going out more.
Okay.
Like, actually getting myself to go out my house.
Yeah.
And, like, going out to play either soccer or meeting up with some friends would help a lot.
Yeah. So that's kind of the part that has you feeling really trapped and really stuck, is your energy level just has you wanting to stay home, and yet you know that on the other hand, going out and doing those things with your friends is what's going to help you feel better.
Right.
Yeah. And I imagine that just feels awful to be kind of trapped in that spot.
Yeah, just feeling way too tired to do anything. It's exhausting.
Yeah. And let's just shift a little bit. Tell me a little bit about sort of, not when you're feeling this way, just overall, what you do for physical activity or exercise. Probably the soccer is one thing, but what else?
I usually go out for walks, go running, sometimes go and do some Zumba with my mom. So that's also fun.
Yeah. So you're typically a really active person.
Right. I try to be.
Yeah, you do a lot to keep busy, keep physically fit, and just be healthy in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Zumba, walking, running.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah, wow, you've got a lot of bases covered there. And how's that been in the past month?
I haven't been doing, like, any of it.
So all that stuff's kind of stopped.
Yeah, I'm not up for it.
Yeah, just feel like, the thought of going to Zumba is just, too much.
Mm-hmm.
And even some of the more slower paced things like going for a walk, those kinds of things still just feel too much.
They do.
Yeah. I wonder, I have some information about the link between physical activity and depression. And I'm wondering if that's something you'd be interested in hearing a little bit more about.
Sure.
Okay. One of the things that we know is that our bodies sort of need that physical activity to keep, not just to keep us, trim and fit and looking good, but also to keep us regulated well and keep our bodies, all of our sort of systems in good balance. And what happens is and this is very, very common in depression, but when people start to feel down, that's kind of one of the first things that falls by the wayside.
Okay.
So they stop doing the things, just like you said. I don't feel up to walking, running, going to Zumba, going to my soccer. All that stuff just feels like too much work. And that's one of the things that can really contribute to that cycle of depression, because then when you stop doing those things, your body kind of just starts to feel a little more crummy, a little more down in the dumps. And actually, although it feels like the physical activity really requires a lot of energy, what we find in reality is it actually energizes us.
Okay.
So if you can, I don't know, I've heard people tell me, and this may or may not be true for you, but when they think back to when they were really physically active, that if they think about, walking out of that Zumba class, man, my muscles were sore and I was out of breath and sweaty, but I felt really peppy. I felt like I had a lot of energy. What was that like for you? If you imagine back to, finishing a run or a nice walk or a Zumba class, how did you feel back then?
I think I definitely felt that way. I would feel, sweaty and everything, but I eventually felt good about it and I felt energized.
Yeah. And so thinking about that energized feeling, it's almost like that's what you want to get back in your life.
Right, definitely.
Yeah. So given that information, what do you think that means for your life, or what do you think you might do about that?
Well, I definitely want to, try and meet my goal and at least try, going out for a walk or something, just to start things off.
Okay.
I'm still worried about feeling too tired to actually go out.
Yeah.
But I think that if I, once again tell my boyfriend, he will hopefully encourage me to, meet this goal.
Okay. Yeah, so similar to the goal you set last time of going to the soccer league.
Right.
It sounds like now you kind of thinking about maybe a goal would be around doing something physical for yourself, some physical activity. And one idea about how to get over that hump of, I just feel so tired, might be to just ask your boyfriend to play a role like you did last time.
Right. It was helpful, so I think it will definitely be useful.
Yeah. And the other thing I'm kind of wondering about is you've mentioned that when you talked to your doctor, he brought up the idea of medication and you weren't really interested. What are you thinking now, kind of 2 weeks later? Where are you at with that idea?
I think I'm a little more interested in them.
Okay.
But I would like to, maybe the next time I come in to see if things got any better.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would like to start medications.
Okay. So a little more interested, still not sure you want to start them right away.
Right.
But you're thinking, hey, let's give it maybe another couple weeks, try this with the physical activity, and check in again and see how you're doing.
Yeah.
And then that might be a time that we could think together again about whether that feels like a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Okay. That seems like a decent plan to me. It's ultimately going to be what works for you.
Okay.
And so I'm not in any position to tell you, hey, you got to try medication now, or now's the time. It's going to be a matter of when it feels right for you.
Okay.
If it feels right for you. It may be that we try this plan and you feel like, hey, this is working, I don't need medication.
Okay.
Sounds like you're hopeful that might happen.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, okay. So thinking about that plan of trying to get a little physical activity, do you want to talk a little more and get some more specifics about it, or do you feel comfortable the way it is?
I think I feel comfortable. I think I can start off with the walking and stuff.
Okay.
So I definitely have some ideas down.
Okay, so you've got those ideas in your head of where you want to start and how you want to go about it.
Right.
Okay, all right. And what would you think about checking in again in 2 weeks?
That sounds perfect.
That 2 week time frame feels comfortable enough for you?
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay. How about does the same time, is this a good time that works with your school schedule?
Yeah.
So we'll just do the same time 2 weeks from now. And I'll be eager to hear how the walking is going.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, great. Thank you.
you.
See you in a couple weeks.
Hi, Mia.
Oh, hi, Dr. Wong.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad.
Good.
Ready for case review today?
Yeah, I have a couple cases. The first one I want to talk about is a new case.
Oh, great. Okay.
So this is Yesenia, and I've actually met with her twice. The first time was 2 weeks ago, and then just this week
Okay.
for a follow-up. So the first time I met with her following, she screened positive for depression on that healthy lifestyle questionnaire. And she was actually coming in to meet with her doctor because she'd been having some problems with sleep and feeling really run down and tired.
Okay.
She hadn't really been thinking about it as depression, but when she screened positive on the lifestyle questionnaire, then I did the PHQ-9 with her, and she had a 10. So we talked about it a little bit, and she was going to talk about it with her doctor some more. And she did sort of set a plan for some behavioral activation
Okay.
that she wanted to do. And then I followed up with her just this week, which was 2 weeks after our first visit.
Okay.
And that time on the PHQ-9, she scored a 14.
14. So
Yeah.
it's higher.
Yeah, and she said she feels like things are kind of getting a little bit worse.
Okay. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what's been going on with her lately?
Well, the main thing that she seems to be pretty focused on is the, feeling really run down and tired. She keeps saying feeling tired. And she also reports that she's sleeping a lot more, like being in bed a total of like 12 or more hours, which is really unusual for her. And she said she's just not like getting good sleep. Like even after being in bed for 12 hours, she feels like she just tosses and turns and isn't ever rested.
Okay.
The other big thing is she talked about this soccer league that I guess her and her boyfriend find it really, like that's their major activity, that it's a co-ed soccer league, so they go to it together and all their friends are in it. And it's been like maybe a month now that she's just not been going.
Oh,
She
wow.
said it kind of stopped being fun, so
Okay.
she just stopped going, and then it was like sort of this cycle where she would feel bad and she wouldn't go, and then she'd feel worse because she didn't go, and it just kind of fed into itself, it sounds like.
I see. Is about a month ago when all of her symptoms started?
Yeah, probably a little over a month. When I first met with her 2 weeks ago, she said it had been a little over 2 weeks then.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Does she feel like her symptoms have been getting worse during this time? Or are they about the same?
When I just met with her for the follow-up, she did say it felt like things were kind of getting worse.
Okay.
And it sounded to me like she was just getting more, I don't want to say desperate, but like more frustrated with the situation and more eager for things to start getting better.
Okay. So it sounds as though for the last month or so, she's really been noticing a lot of symptoms of feeling tired. She's sleeping more. She's not as motivated to do the things that she used to be interested in. Does she mention at all problems with her mood, feeling sad or down or depressed?
She said down. She doesn't really use the word depressed.
Okay.
She hadn't, and when I first mentioned to her, the first time we met, when I first mentioned to her, that these could be symptoms of depression,
Okay.
she was really kind of like surprised by that. She
see.
hadn't thought about it as depression.
Okay.
So I think she's still, not 100% comfortable calling it that.
Okay.
But she does feel down, and she said, she just kind of feels bad.
She feels bad.
Yeah.
And how are her PHQ-9 scores?
They're getting a little bit worse. So they were a 10 and then now a 14.
Okay.
So they're still not in that really severe range. I also feel a little bit like she might not be fully endorsing things
Interesting.
the way that they are
Okay.
on the screen, because when I do the PHQ-9, she says, some days or nearly half the days for some of the answers, but when we talk, it sounds like these things are happening every day.
I see. Okay. Now, when you spoke with her, did she mention any problems with thoughts of self-harm, suicidal thoughts?
No, she didn't mention any, and I did, specifically ask about it both in the PHQ-9
Right.
question and then as a follow-up, and she said no. She also said she's never had those thoughts in the
Okay.
past or, felt that way before.
Okay, so that's really good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. With everything that's been going on, has she mentioned anything about feeling anxious?
She didn't say anxious. She did say that she has a lot of stress from school. I was kind of trying to ask to see if there was something unusual going on that might have started this. But she said that the stress is the same as it always is, and that's kind of just a constant in her life.
Okay.
I didn't specifically screen her for anxiety, though.
Okay. Well, that's a good point. That's something we'll keep in mind. It may be helpful to do a GED-7 the next time we see her if we're
Okay.
thinking that maybe worries or stress or anxiety is playing some role in what's going on.
Okay, so you want me to do that? We have a follow-up. She and I have a follow-up scheduled in another 2 weeks. So do you want me to make sure to do that then?
I think that would be
Okay.
a great idea.
Okay, I just made a note so I don't want to forget.
Sounds good. And so tell me a little bit about, so we've talked about what's been going on recently.
Mm-hmm.
What about in the past? Has she had any problems with depression or anxiety before?
She said that she's had some times where the same kind of thing has happened. She'll start to just feel really run down or down and not sleep well, but be in bed more and just be really dragging and kind of almost like withdraw from a lot of her activities.
I see.
But what she said was usually what has happened in the past is she just something will happen and she'll kind of snap out of it. And she said she's just kind of been waiting for that to happen this time, but it hasn't happened. And I think that's got her a little bit rattled.
Okay.
Why am I not just snapping out of it this time like I have in
Sure.
the past? She's never had any treatment before, never
Okay.
seen a counselor, been on any medication or anything like that. though.
Okay. Has she mentioned if she's ever been hospitalized at all?
I didn't ask. No.
Okay. Yeah, why don't we make a note of that?
Okay.
I don't think that she would, given that she's never had any treatment. We can make a note of that as well.
Okay.
Okay. And then tell me a little bit about her family. Has anyone had problems with depression, anxiety, alcohol, or drug problems?
I didn't ask about alcohol or drug problems in the family, but she said no one in her family that she knows of has had any problems with depression or any other problems with their mood.
Okay, so that's very helpful to know. Okay. And then what about her own drug use? Does she do any drugs, drink at all?
She said no drug use. On the alcohol, it was just 1 or 2 drinks, pretty rarely.
Okay.
She said 2's her pretty much her max.
Okay, so it sounds like that's not a problem at all.
It didn't sound like it to me. No.
Okay. And then do we know anything about her social situation? Does she have a lot of support, friends, or problems with family at all?
I didn't ask about problems with family. It does sound like her boyfriend is her main support.
Okay.
She said he's been pretty understanding of her not wanting to go to the soccer league. He also tries to encourage her.
Oh, great.
And she's someone that the first time we met, we did a little bit of a behavioral activation plan. And she said that she wanted to try to go to the soccer league
Okay.
once a week.
Oh, how did that work out?
She went the first week, and it sounds like she really needed a lot of encouragement from the boyfriend to go. He was the one that she encouraged, that she asked to be in the plan with her and kind of encourage her and help her get out the door.
I see.
And she said that once she went, she felt better, like she was glad she had gone. But then the second week, she just said she just felt too down and would rather stay home on the couch, and that's what she ended up doing.
I see. Okay, so it sounds like boyfriend's a helpful support system for her.
Yeah, she's also mentioned some other friends, but it doesn't sound like they're quite as close.
Okay. And then what about any medical problems or other medications that she's taking?
She's not on any medications, and I looked at her problem list in the electronic medical record, and she doesn't have any chronic conditions.
Okay.
And when I talked to her, she said that she did talk to her doctor specifically about was there anything medically going on that was causing her to be so tired? He did a little bit of a workup and said that it doesn't seem like there is. It sounds like he's also really thinking this might be depression.
Okay. And was there any discussion about how she would like to proceed with treating her depression?
She was pretty hesitant about medication the first time. She was willing to hear what her doctor had to say. And it sounds like he offered her the option of medication, but she declined the first visit. When I met with her the second time, she still said she would prefer not to have any medication, but she sounded a little more open to it.
Okay.
Like I said, it sounds like she's getting a little more eager for this to get resolved.
Interesting. Okay. Do we have a sense of why she might have declined medication the first time around?
I didn't ask.
Okay, no, that's okay. That'll be something for us to think about. Sometimes people are nervous about starting medications, maybe for different reasons. They're worried that it might have side effects or change who they are. So that's an important role that you'll be able to play in just providing some of that education.
Okay.
But it sounds like she's more open to medications at this point.
It sounded like a little more open to at least hearing about it again from her doctor. Yeah.
Okay. So she sounds like a very interesting case. From what you've told me, it sounds as though she has been pretty healthy up until now. No medical problems. She's not taking any medications. And for the last month, she's noticed some symptoms of depression. It sounds like the main ones are that she's really tired, she's got low energy, she's sleeping a lot more, and she's not as motivated as she usually is. From what you've told me, it sounds like you're doing a great job targeting some of the behavioral activation. I think that'll be very important for her. And just being able to get up, make some changes that might encourage her to be more active and improve her mood. So that's excellent. It sounds as though her depression's not getting better, maybe a little bit worse. So I think it would be reasonable to try to talk with her more specifically about treatment options.
Okay.
It sounds as though her doctor has already mentioned medications. I think that could be a very good option for her at this point, since she's really not pulling out of this. And if they haven't already considered some medications, I think we could consider Wellbutrin as a good option, because that can be very helpful for energy levels and also motivation.
Okay.
And other things we could consider are starting out with Prozac, which is sort of our standard medication. So I think I can give you some recommendations about how to start those if her doctor wants to consider those, and maybe some recommendations on that.
Okay.
And what I would do is, if that's something she is open to, certainly follow up. When she starts taking them, we'll follow up on how she's doing, if she's having side effects.
Okay.
And if she's got some hesitation about starting the medications, it could be helpful to try to understand, well, what are some of the reasons why? So,
okay.
Alternatively, we could also consider therapy for her. It sounds as though her depression is in the moderate range, sometimes mild range. So therapy could be a very good option for her too. So if that's something that she thinks could be more helpful, certainly let's bring that up.
Okay.
And she could certainly do both medicines and therapy at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I do think that was excellent that you covered safety issues. It sounds as though that's not a concern at this point.
Right.
But we can certainly monitor in case that does get worse.
Okay. That sounds like a good plan. So you'll write the note for the doctor like you usually do.
Yeah.
About the medication, and then I'll follow up with her. We're scheduled again in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I kind of feel like at this 2 week, this 2 week follow up, either things are going to be getting better for her and she'll be happy to see it resolved, or I have the sense that if they're not better at this follow up, she's going to be really ready to try something different.
Okay. So that's good to know.
That's just kind of my gut sense with her.
Okay.
So I'll make sure either way at the next visit to follow up and make sure that she doesn't have any past hospitalizations, and check on the GAD-7.
Okay.
And would you want us to do that bipolar screen if the doctor is considering starting her on medication?
I think that'd be reasonable.
Okay.
So far from what she's told you, it doesn't sound as though there's any indication of that, but I think that would be reasonable to do.
Okay, so I'll put the MDQ on my list for next time too, if we're thinking more seriously about medication.
Yes.
Okay.
And what I'll do is I'll look over her chart as
Okay.
well, just to make sure I don't miss anything, and then I'll send you those recommendations that you can share with her doctor.
Okay. That sounds like a good plan.
Great.
All right, thanks.